One and done. That's what we thought about the original ZDX. If we go back in time, Acura ZDX debuted ahead of its time as a coupe crossover. You know, the beak was a little much on it, but still, it's a very unique design if you can find one out there. Big V6 power. It was pretty darn cool. Again, just too ahead of its own time to... I think Abe got some slobber on me there. It was discontinued due to poor sales. It lasted only 4 model years from 2010 to 2013. All right. Now, it was crazy that the ZDX was coming back. About a year ago, I drove it for the first time. Obviously, it's not a true Honda Acura product. It's built by Cadillac, essentially, in Spring Hill, Tennessee, alongside of the Lyric, the Cadillac Lyric, for example. All right, so it's using that Ultium battery. It's using that Ultium software and e-motors and e-axles, that sort of thing. All right, so it was a stopgap. We knew it was a stopgap. We knew, especially in October of 2023, when I was in Japan and it had just been breaking news that Honda and General Motors were going separate ways. They once formed Gondam. That's what I called it. Gondam was this new company to reduce costs. They're going to build EVs together, develop EVs together, and have cheap EVs by the end of the decade. That never happened. It dismantled 2 years ago. So I knew, and we don't have news on the Prologue yet, but I knew that the life of this upcoming Acura ZDX was going to be short. Didn't expect it to be this short. The first publication reporting on this was Car Dealership Guy. They got a memo saying that Acura's discontinued production of its ZDX crossover effective immediately, according to an internal memo obtained by CDG News. All allocated 26 model years have been canceled. 25 never existed. The 25 model year, if I go to cars in my area, there are 11 ZDXs available on lots within 150 miles of where I live. They're out there still, but they're only 24 model years, and that was the first model year. So they skipped 25, potentially going to 2026, but now it's officially canceled. And it's not just from yes, the memo was real, first of all, but I have my Acura contact direct communication here. So I have official updates for you guys on the ZDX. Okay, here is the official statement from Acura. To better align our product portfolio with the needs of our customers and market conditions, as well as our long-term strategic goals, we can confirm that the Acura ZDX has ended production. The ZDX has played a valuable role for the Acura brand and will provide a foundation we will build on next year with the arrival of the all-electric Acura RSX, which will be built at the EV Hub in Ohio in the second half of 2026. Again, watch my tour of the EV Hub in Marysville, Ohio. I did it, that was in February, so check that video out. And also check out my most recent video giving you guys a walk around of the RSX, okay? We're expecting that RSX to come in the second half of 2026, as well as with hybrid electric Acura models now in development. This is maybe the first official statement from Acura saying that hybrid electrics are in development. Previously, it was kind of like their North American or even global executive for Acura, which it might be one and the same because Acura really doesn't exist outside of North America anyways. He was saying at Monterey Car Week that hybrids were being fast-tracked to be available as soon as possible. But it still might be many, many, many years, as I've detailed before. It could be 3 years before we see an ADX hybrid or an RDX hybrid, or an MDX hybrid, etc. So we still could be 3-4 years out. So Acura also told me they sold nearly 20,000 ZDXs, many which are on 2-year leases. So when those leases are ready to be, I guess, turned in, there will be an RSX waiting for them, okay, which is going to be better than the ZDX in theory in every single conceivable way, at least from a Honda enthusiast. They believe they're in a good position going forward. They don't need an EV right now, all right? In comparison, they said Gen 1 ZDX and SLX sold well under 10,000 units. So despite longer model runs, total sales were actually much less for those. Yes. Like I mentioned, yeah, I mean, my Acura contact going way back with the SLX body on frame rebadged, was it in Isuzu? There's a perfect storm of this car being canceled. Okay, RSX coming next year, one of them. All right, obviously they have nothing now, but they still have some ZDXs sitting around. End of EV tax credit. Let's see what the current deals are on the ZDX. Okay, you still get the EV tax credit. There are no offers right now. There are no offers in my area. Maybe I can, oh man, that's California. So that's just like a general zip code here. Okay, so they've killed all the incentives on the ZDX. As the model has been killed. There's just the lease credit right now. Outside of the cancellation of the tax credit, we have a cancellation of CAFE. Okay, so if you're no longer penalized for not achieving your, fleet emissions standard or whatever it is, you're not going to be penalized for it. So if they don't need to lose money on the ZDX, then get rid of the ZDX. And that's what they did. I thought the ZDX was going to stick around for another year minimum because, well, I thought maybe they're contracted with General Motors. It doesn't mean that they weren't. If they were, they got out of it. So it is fascinating that it just existed for one model year, despite it outselling the SLX and the previous ZDX. Okay. But this was not a success for Acura. You could say it was a success in the fact that they moved a lot of volume. That maybe you can hang your hat on that. Maybe it was a success in the fact that, hey, this was just a primer. And then when the RSX comes out a year from now or later, maybe it's the very end of 2026, I don't know. But when the RSX comes out, all these ZDX owners are ready to get out of it. Maybe they buy it off their lease. That's a possibility as well. But the RSX looks better than the ZDX, but that's my personal opinion. And it's going to have, it should be more efficient. Time will tell. Should have more range than the ZDX. Time will tell. It is just shocking. This is right off the backs. If we go back to their vehicle lineup, the TLX is dead. The ZDX is dead. So, and there's even rumors floating around that the Integra might not last another 3 or 4 years. I don't know what to believe there. As long as the Civic exists, the Integra will exist. That's how I see it. There's no reason to get rid of it. But the TLX and ZDX gone now. ADX just entered the lineup. And there are a lot. So if you want to see what kind of ADXs are available in my area, look, 584 ADXs, a massive amount. Now I'm actually seeing them on the roads. No surprise because there's so many available out there. 584 ADXs in my area. That is huge. Are we seeing discounts? I think we are. Not much. $1,300 discount on the base models. Again, $35K. Give me a Civic Hybrid every single day of the week. It's not quite as comfortable or as quiet as ADX, but like this gets like 25 miles per gallon in front wheel drive. So it's just like, and it's performance. Like the ADX I struggle with because it's one powertrain away from being really good. Right? It's almost a Nissan thing right now. Nissan, I reviewed so many Nissans lately, whether it's the Rogue or the Murano or QX60. They're just one powertrain away from being excellent. It's the same thing with the ADX. It does everything really well except the powertrain. And when you're a precision crafted performance brand, just saying, oh, it's turbocharged, that's just empty words because a turbocharged CVT performance here is not good enough for precision crafted performance. All right. Anyways, tons of these ADXs flowing in. Why are there so many and so few of their best-selling MDX, so few of their best-selling RDX? I don't know. These are coming in from Mexico. They're built alongside of the Honda HR-V. If the profit margin here is twice of what it is than an HR-V, of course they're going to allocate more of that production to an ADX. Makes sense to me. MDX just got a refresh. It's not selling that well. I guess I could pull up the sales numbers for you guys. If we go down to the Acura sales, again, this is at the end of August. All right. Integra was down 11%. Again, Marysville, Ohio changes things because it's victim to the reworking of the assembly lines to account for 0 Series EVs next year. TLX dead. ADX sold, it's outselling the Integra by a lot, almost 1,000 units in the month of August. And in fact, the ADX is outselling the RDX. All right. It's getting close to the MDX's numbers. MDX is down 25%. RDX is down 50%. ZDX, rest in peace. TLX, like I said, rest in peace. So, if you look at the full year, MDX down 17%, RDX down about 23%. That's not where you want to be with your core models. Yes, hybrids are on the way, but they're not going to get there as soon as Acura's needed hybrids. You could say maybe for the last 3 years, but it's just going to get worse every single year that they don't have a hybrid in their lineup, and Honda does, and their competition does. You're going to see a reduction, in my opinion, a reduction in core sales. Could be wrong. Maybe there's something coming for Acura that's going to move the needle for sales and product excitement. All we have is RSX at the second half of 2026 without an EV tax credit. I don't have the highest hopes of Acura's turnaround in the near term. Honda makes amazing hybrids, and when they bring those hybrids to the Acura lineup, it's going to give them a rebirth as a brand. RSX and 0 Series EVs is not going to rebirth Acura. It's good to have solid EVs going forward, absolutely. To have that niche, and it's niche. It still is niche, and it will be niche for the foreseeable future EVs. It's only 15% of the market here in the US. Let me double check. It's only 9.9%. Okay, in the US. We saw a 15% increase, and we will see an increase in September. But after that, you're going to see EV demand go down because of the lack of tax credit, which made these way more affordable, especially when you're leasing them. I got to wrap this up. ZDX, am I sad that it's gone? No, I'm not sad that the ZDX is gone. When Acura named it the ZDX, it was like, okay, it plays on the nostalgia, but the ZDX was never successful for them. And it wasn't a coupe crossover. You could be saying the new RSX coupe crossover EV, that should have been called the ZDX because it's a coupe crossover. That makes a lot more sense to me than calling the new RSX what it is. Okay, the new RSX would have been better off called ZDX. And what Acura would have called this? BDX, battery electric, right? BDX or EDX, electric, right? They could have named it other things. So the naming is not why this vehicle failed. All right. It's the market conditions, first and foremost, and the political situation, the lack of EV tax credit and a lack of fines for not meeting your CAFE standards or expectations. So there's a lot of reasons this is dead. No, I don't think very many people are going to shed a tear for this. This was always a short-term project from Acura to have to deal with General Motors to build this vehicle. Yes, that must have taken a lot of work, time, money, and sacrifice to let General Motors be able to build your first electric vehicle. But it was always a stopgap, just like the Prologue is a stopgap. Now, I have confirmation that the Prologue will continue on. The 26 models are right around the corner. Let's look at Prologues real quick, and then I got to get out of here. If you want an EV right now from Honda or a Honda dealership, it's built in Mexico by General Motors alongside of the Blazer EV. All right, Prologue right now. Yeah, there's a few out there. And these are 24, 25s. The 26s are right around the corner. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the comments. Are you sad about it? If you are, I'm surprised. All right. If it was the Integra being discontinued, be sad. The TLX, I'm still sad about the TLX being discontinued. That's really sad. All right. The NSX being discontinued, really sad. Okay, with no replacement anywhere in sight. Okay. So it's just a waiting game right now for the RSX, waiting game for Acura hybrids, and waiting game to see if Acura is going to have this monumental comeback that it could have, but will it have? We don't know. Again, their sales this year are actually up 2 to 3%. but it's on the backs of a ZDX, which is canceled. You could probably say like last year they sold maybe 8,000 TLX or something like that. That volume is going to be disappearing. Okay, and then their main core models, MDX and RDX, that volume shrinking. So really the only positive model right now for Acura is the ADX. Like I said, I have my issues with that vehicle and its performance. We'll see where it goes. Stay locked in on the channel. Hopefully no more Acuras get discontinued anytime soon. Hopefully that's the last one. I cannot wait to see you in the comments. And if you own a ZDX, what is your experience with it? I like driving it. It's a fine vehicle. It looks cool. I like the wagon-like design of it, and it's powerful, but it doesn't feel like a Honda or Acura whatsoever. So anyways, be safe out there, guys, and have a great day. Long live the ZDX. Peace.